Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gomansing. In our top story, St. Croix police are actively investigating a double homicide Tuesday that left a woman and her son dead. According to VIPD's Public Information Officer Melody Rames, the two were killed in a private residence in Estate Glynn. Rames said police are searching for suspects and answers to why something like this would happen.
According to St. Croix Chief of Police James Paris, a mother and her minor son were fatally shot. Police were dispatched to the scene at about 2:10 p.m. Paris said the mother is in her mid-20s and the child is between 8 and 12 years old. Detectives are searching for suspects and gathering evidence that will hopefully shed light on why these shootings occurred. And if anyone has any information on these shootings, please call police and tell them what you know. You can call 712-6077, 712-6037, 911, or Crime Stoppers USVI at 1-800-222-TIPS.
Also, police issue a missing persons alert for 28-year-old Sean Ferris David. He is 5'6" and 140 pounds with brown eyes and a dark brown complexion and long black locks. Take a look at the picture. Police say he has a tattoo of his nickname Biggs on one arm and a snake on the other. Family members reported seeing him last on July 5th at his residence in Estate Mount Pleasant. Call detectives at 712-6077, 911 or Crime Stoppers if you have any information that can assist. As we reported, the Bureau of Corrections Golden Grove Facility was placed on lockdown on Monday as a result of a staff shortage. News2's Shaniqua Robinson has the update.
On Monday, Acting Director of the Virgin Islands Bureau of Corrections, Basil Richards, instituted an immediate lockdown of the Golden Grove Adult Correctional Facility and Detention Center on St. Croix.
The Golden Grove Adult Correctional Facility is still on lockdown. However, all of the custody staff, which includes the corrections officers, have returned to work. We have a full complement, 100% coverage.
The facility's lockdown was due to a coordinated sick-out by custody staff and correction officers.
Warden is currently meeting with job stewards to get a handle scenario as to the issues that may have caused yesterday's action. We do have some ongoing concerns relative to their negotiated contract and some infrastructural items as far as inoperable Sally Port, lack of video cameras at the facility, and just lack of resources that they need to effectively do their jobs.
The Bureau has put in measures to mitigate any negative impact and is confident that this matter will be resolved.
We listen to their concerns. I know that some of the issues go beyond just the Bureau as far as the agency's budget and just the overall budget of the VI government. So things that have been coming up in various meetings and in various Senate sessions and have been stated by both the leadership of the BOC as well as the officers.
Shaniqua Robinson, News 2.
And News 2 will keep you updated. Now, we have been tracking Tropical Storm Chantal. The coastal waters of Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands and the Virgin Islands remain under tropical storm warnings. News 2's AccuWeather meteorologist Violetta Yaz is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Sandy. Well, Chantal still moving to the north and west, moved actually right between St. Lucia and Martinique earlier today. That northwestward motion is expected to continue as the feature moves away from the Lesser Antilles and into the eastern Caribbean Sea. Now, this system is expected to remain to the south of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, but that's not to say it will move to our south without impact. So details on that coming up in tonight's show. But right now, let's send it back over to Sandy.
Again, all eyes in the territory are on Tropical Storm Chantal, which is moving closer to the Virgin Islands by the minute. Everyone is getting ready for Chantal to make landfall, but when it comes to emergency preparedness, VITEMA, or the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency, is taking that lead. News 2's April Knight has more.
Virgin Islanders are keeping a close eye on Tropical Storm Chantal, but no one is keeping a closer watch than the VI Territorial Emergency Management Agency, or VITEMA.
The Virgin Islands remains under a tropical storm watch. Storm conditions are possible within the watch area within the next 48 hours.
St. Croix is expected to take the brunt of Tropical Storm Chantal. In response, WAPA is partially activating an emergency operations center on the island.
It is the nerve center for the entire operation. They will just be manned with a number of half a dozen of individuals that will be on watch for the next 48 hours.
WAPA also called on FEMA's IMAT, or Incident Management Assistance Team, to support local disaster management operations. While St. Croix takes the brunt of Tropical Storm Chantal, WAPA advises all Virgin Islanders to be geared up and ready for the coming storm. Get a kit, make a plan, and be informed.
An emergency supply kit stocked with at least 3 days of worth of essential items such as water and non-perishable items.
They also recommend that individuals and families create a clear plan of action for emergencies.
Make sure that they're in contact with the families, any special consideration within the families, young children or elderly or anyone that has a special needs.
Finally, being well informed is a must. Information on emergency preparedness abounds on the internet or at your local WAPA headquarters.
Continue to urge the public to make final preparation in the event that the territory is impacted by Tropical Storm Chantal.
April Knight, News 2.
And if you need help with your hurricane preparations or in case of emergency, you can reach WAPA at 774-2244 for St. Thomas and 773-2244 on St. Croix. Innovative Cable TV issued some reminders to customers as well that the National Emergency Alert System, which provides information locally through the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency's Emergency Alert System, will display critical disaster preparedness alerts on Channel 3 on Innovative Cable TV system in the districts of St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix. Innovative also encourages customers to sign up for the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency's VI Alert to closely track the path of impending storms. Terry Falls, Senior Vice President of Network Operations for the Innovative companies, also issue a reminder customers should refrain from moving or cutting down lines on their property or in the vicinity of their homes because they may be active power lines, telephone lines, or cable TV lines. WAPA officials say they have been closely monitoring the storm as well. According to Executive Director Hugo Hodge, all employees are designated as essential and will report to work as scheduled to assist in the restoration of the electric and water systems if any damages occur. WAPA has adequate fuel and water storage, and they have secured generating equipment in all other areas. WAPA will maintain services as long as possible and will not intentionally turn off power in the event of a storm. However, if a feeder loses service, control room operators will try 3 times to safely restore the feeder. If unsuccessful, the feeder will remain without service until the storm passes and systems are evaluated for damage. Also, WAPA crews have begun repairing street lights across the territory. Officials say the work is expected to continue through the end of the year. Officials don't anticipate that there will be any outages because of the repairs, but they do urge motorists to drive cautiously where street light work is being done. The repairs will be done in sectors on each island from 7:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. Residents can get the full schedule on WAPA's website under the newsroom section. Customers can report defective street lights to WAPA at 773-0150 on St. Croix and 774-1424 for St. Thomas, St. John. Well, Coast Guard Sector San Juan has set port condition X-ray at 6 p.m. Monday for the ports in the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. During port condition X-ray, all maritime operations, including waterfront facility and vessel transits, may occur until further notice, provided they exercise caution. Inbound vessels that will be unable to depart if port alert is elevated are advised to seek an alternate destination. Coast Guard may require additional precautions to ensure the safety of the ports and the waterways. They anticipate that the port condition may be increased to Yankee in the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico within the next 12 hours if the track for Tropical Storm Chantal remains as forecasted. We'll turn our attention stateside. The White House is considering a major change in its commitment in Afghanistan. President Obama planned to have most troops home by the end of 2014 and to leave behind a small force, but Recent disagreements with Afghanistan's president are raising the possibility the withdrawal could happen faster and no U.S. troops will stay. Danielle Nottingham has more from the White House.
The White House is considering how many U.S. troops, if any, will stay in Afghanistan after 2014. It's called the zero option, and it's getting more weight as President Obama and U.S. military leaders struggle to negotiate with Afghan President Hamid Karzai.
I wouldn't say that we're frustrated. We continue to work through issues. We realize that there are going to be points of contention from time to time.
The plan was to cut roughly half of the more than 60,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan earlier next year, then end U.S. military involvement by December 2014, with a long-term security deal in place that would leave a small force behind. White House officials say President Obama has not spoken with the Afghan president since a video conference between the two leaders went badly, with Karzai accusing the U.S. of trying to negotiate a separate peace deal with the Taliban.
We've had disagreements in the past, and we'll have them in the future, there's no question. But the core agreement here is on a future in Afghanistan that is stable and democratic and secure.
Republican leaders, often critical of President Obama's handling of the war, seem willing to hear all options.
I look forward to working with the administration on any ideas they would have to help stabilize what we see in Afghanistan today.
Both White House and Pentagon officials say there is plenty of time to make a decision about drawing down U.S. forces. Danielle Nottingham, News 2.
And keeping our eye on the economy, there are new signs of further improvement in the job market. The Labor Department says U.S. employers advertised slightly more job openings in May, and total hiring increased. There are nearly 3.1 unemployed people for each job opening. In a healthy economy, that ratio is typically 2 to 1. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank's Stock Market Watch. Everything up: the Dow 75, NASDAQ 19, S&P 11. Coming up on News 2, the latest on Chantal's whereabouts, plus legislation to enact the VI charter schools is discussed, which would bring public education alternatives to parents. Details. Juan Louis Hospital's interim CEO, Dr. Kendall Griffith, announced his resignation effective immediately. In a press release, Griffith stated that while he willingly accepted the challenge of becoming the interim CEO while being a practicing physician at the same time, he now feels it's time to step down and return to his true passion, caring for his patients. Dr. Kendall Griffith will be resuming his leadership post with the Virgin Islands Cardiac Care Center. In the meantime, Mr. Peter Abrahams, Vice President of Facilities Management, will serve as the acting Chief Executive Officer until further notice. The Senate Committee on Education and Workforce Development met on Monday to discuss several bills. Top of the agenda was legislation to enact the VI Charter Schools Act of 2013, which would bring public education alternatives to parents. Although education officials were present, they weren't called to testify. It was a fact-finding hearing with a charter school specialist in the hot seat. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
Bill 30-121 would establish charter schools in the VI separate from the Department of Education. Bill sponsor Narida Rivera O'Reilly said she wants to restore excellence in education.
I would like nothing better than to see our public schools, all of them, operate with accountability and freedom, to be innovative. Every single public school, elementary, middle, and high school should be producing best outcomes for our students.
A lobbyist for public charter schools traveled to the territory to speak in support of the bill.
It is something to consider. It is something that is working very well. Performance is showing they're working even better.
Charter schools are the smaller scale models to the usually larger public school institutions. Supporters say they offer the freedom for innovative instruction, and that's where the success usually comes in. Grover told lawmakers that charter schools operate on a 5-year basis. She provided statistics in listed states that have improved student performance rates because of charter schools. But she also pointed out that there are low-performing charters, and after the 5-year contract is up, those schools are closed. She told senators their challenge was to create a law that would encourage high-performing charters and ensure that chronically low-performing charters would be closed. Senators agreed that any option to improve education is good, but they weren't sure it's the right fit for the territory.
There is value in charter schools. How we get there with funding is the biggest question. So don't discredit it based on who's going to say whatever. Alternatives for any parents would say, if they're being honest with themselves, that I want choices.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Charter schools are public schools, free and open to all students. Senators voted to table the bill for further consideration until called again by Senate Committee Chair Donald Cole. Alpha Broadcasting Corporation, parent company to WSVI Channel 8, has hired Cheryl Francis to run the station as vice president and general manager. Francis, who is the wife of Lieutenant Governor Greg Francis, has over 30 years in experience in media, telecommunications, customer service, and business operations. Alpha Broadcasting President David Lampel says her background in getting diverse media operations to function together and dedication to customer service makes her a valuable asset, not only to Channel 8, but the community. Francis also launched and operates a successful foundation, Stop the Bleeding, to aggressively challenge the status quo of out-of-control violence on young people. Well, the wholesale price for regular gas dropped by a penny to $2.94. That means retail gas station owners can expect to pay $3.08 per gallon for fuel at Hovenza's truck rack. The wholesale cost for premium rose by a penny to $3.35. Retail station owners will pay $3.49 per gallon to Hovenza. The cost for diesel fuel remained the same at a wholesale price of $3.24. The Hovenza price is $3.38 per gallon. Hovenza costs include a 14 cents per gallon tax. And just to mark on your calendar, Bunker Hill will be closed to traffic on